Thank you.
because I didn't really talk about it. I actually even just had told my best friend, and we've been friends for like 22 years. But when I was 10 years old, we live kind of in the hood basically, and my mom's friends, one of her closest friends, they had rented a hotel room, and they had a pool, and it was the summertime, and like I really wanted to go. I was like, I want to go. And one of my friends, my mom's friend's daughter, I really liked her. She was an older lady, well, older girl at that point, and I wanted to go spend the night. So I went over there. We went swimming, and it was like a double bedroom, I remember. And it was, it's time to go to bed. So we went to bed, and I was sleeping in the bed with my mom's friend. And
Was it a man or a woman?
My mom's friend was a woman.
Okay.
And there was this, I don't know his name, so I'm just gonna say Hispanic guy. I remember him, getting in the bed, and then he was like behind me, and then, he started like touching on me.
While your mom's friend, who
was in the bed,
an adult, was also in the bed.
Right.
So she didn't wake up.
Well, she did.
Okay.
But so he, and when he was doing that, he was kind of going in my pants, and I kind of froze because I didn't know what to do, because it was like there was other people in the other bed, and it was just all dark. So I froze, and then I jumped up, and I remember like screaming, and I remember her saying like, "Are you touching her?" And things like that. And I remember that they all, like, it kind of like, I guess I say I put it out of my mind after that, but I do remember them like pushing him out the room. And at that point my dad was in prison, so I remember my mom's friend saying like, "You're lucky her dad isn't out of prison," and this and this and that or whatever. And I don't know what happened to him. I don't know if they beat him up. I don't know what happened to him at that point, but I know it was very scary for me. But I did kind of put it out of my mind. And I think the most important thing about it is, I thank God that it only happened once, but I also feel like I don't know what happened to that guy. So they may have thought that they did something by maybe beating him up or whatever they did, but in reality, you should have called the police, because I'm sure that if he was freely able to feel like he could do that to me, that he just met me that day, then he's probably out there still doing stuff to someone else. And I think, and I was thinking about it, before you came, and I really, I do want to say from my story, I want it to be really known. For me, it's more of a, parents and adults are supposed to protect children. And I don't care what you go through as far as like your reasoning behind it. I mean, don't get me wrong, like if it's a violent situation and you can't speak up, then that's different. But if you're an adult, like in that particular situation, the police should have been called. It shouldn't have been any questions asked. That's what should have happened, because you could have prevented him from probably doing it to somebody else. Because I don't even know him, and I don't even know his name, and then after that, I love my mom, I will say that, because I don't want this to be like I'm bashing my parents because they weren't good parents. But even last year, this is when I was 10, so I'm 33 now, and I was telling my mom, because me and my sister was talking about it, and we got emotional. I was like, wow, why is this bothering me like that? So I was telling my mom, and she's like, oh yeah. And it kind of just, I know how my mom is, she's not super emotional, so I kind of just was like, oh yeah, but
did she know?
She knew, but when I mentioned it to her years later, it was just one of them things where after it happened, I really feel like I just put it out of my mind. But I never remember any conversations. Like my parents never talked to me about what's wrong and right, even sex, what's wrong, what's right, what's inappropriate with relationships and things like that. And I think if I had known, I'd be, had a little more guidance. But I feel like as a parent, and the same thing with my daughter, she's 3, you are your child's protector. You are your child's advocate. You have to advocate for your child, and they expect you to do that. So for me, like after it happened, I never remember anybody talking to me about it. I never remember any explanations about the behavior. That's what I was going to say.
Did you tell your mom, or did your mom's friend tell your mom after this happened?
I believe my mom's friend told her, but I don't remember my mom.
Nothing was done about it.
Right, nothing was done. My dad was in prison, and even when he got out, I still don't remember my dad or my mom ever talking to me about this was wrong, this shouldn't have happened, how do you feel?
How do you feel?
None of these things. And even as I got older, I started having sex at a young age too, and even at that point, there still was never conversations like, this is what, this is wrong, this is right, or anything like that. So I think the biggest thing is, like, people have to understand, especially mothers, parents, period, but especially mothers, mothers tend to be closer to their daughters. But you have to talk to your child and let them know what's right and what's wrong. And if something, God forbid, happens to them like that, you are the advocate for them. So at that point, he should have been in jail. I don't care what it took for this to happen. That's what should have happened. And if your child tells you that something happens, you have to make sure that you do whatever you can to make sure the situation is taken care of. And also try to provide support, even if it's just you talking to your son or daughter, getting them therapy, whatever. But because I just don't remember a time where I ever was talked to about it.
Yeah.
Like, ever. I never, even till this day, it's never been, oh, that happened to you, and I'm sure that, my dad read it in the book too, but it still was never a, I'm sorry I wasn't there for you. And it's not even that I expect an apology. It's more like, you have to be there for your kids, and I don't understand how some parents don't understand that you are the one who's supposed to protect them.
It's your job.
It's your job. They don't feel protected if they don't feel that you protect them.
And when you don't educate your children, they get taught and learn from the first person who teaches them.
That's right.
So since you have a 3-year-old daughter, have you taught her about her body and let her know?
I have. And I've been actually, I've been trying to, like, watch videos, the best way to do it. Because, first time mom, I'm learning how to tell her what's right. And you tell me if anybody touches you. Like, only mommy can touch you down there. Like, when I'm giving her a shower, things like that. I have talked to her about that kind of stuff. And I think that it's important. I know that a lot of people hesitate because their children are young, but it's like, kids these days, being a teacher, kids these days are just doing so much at such a young age. My ultimate message is to please talk to your children. God forbid if anything happens, make sure you are getting them the support they need, and making sure how they feel, and making them understand. Right, talk to them. Make sure they feel that they can come to you if something happens to them. And don't ever, the worst thing I think people do is sweep it under the carpet. And think that it doesn't resurface later. It does.
It affects you years later. Just how you said growing up, you had sex at an early age. I read in a survivor book that people that are abused sexually, when they grow up, they feel like sex is all they have to offer a man. So growing up, I was the same way. I felt like sex was how to get a boy to like me, when really it was the complete opposite. And just like you said, no one taught you. My mom and dad never told me anything about sex as an adult or a child. So it's just all about educating your children, because yes, it has a life-lasting effect.
I had kind of talked about it in my book also, but I really feel like it makes you confuse lust with love the younger you have sex. And so your parents, they need to talk to you about sex. I don't care if you don't know how to say it and you want to take your kid to a Planned Parenthood so they can say it. Just be that advocate for them and make sure they know and they can come to you and talk to you. That wasn't until I became a single mom that I really understood everything and about self-worth and everything. But that still goes back to me, I think, is your parents' responsibility also to teach you what worth is and teach you your value to the best of their ability. There's no manual to parenting, but you are a protector, and you have to be able to make sure that your child can come and talk to you and feel like if anything traumatic happened, like what happened to me, they can come and talk to you. Because I don't remember having that support, and that's one of the things about my childhood that was the hardest, I think, is the lack of guidance and the lack of support. And so I never felt like, oh, I can just go to you and tell you and you're going to do something about it. So it just, it's one of those things where I think too, with a lot of parents, I always say, if you knew better, you'd do better. And unfortunately, some parents don't know better. So to all you parents out there listening, please make sure you talk to your kids, no matter how uncomfortable it is, because they need to hear from you and know that they can come to you. So if they do go to a friend's house, because that's one thing too. I'm having a child, period. I'm very thinking the thought of her spending the night at people's house is not really okay for me, and I'm not really comfortable with it. And it's because look at what happened to me. I stayed at a hotel room like just so I can go swimming, and this happened to me. And you put expectations on other people's parents where your kids are staying, and everybody's expectations aren't the same. So it's a little nerve-wracking for me, the thought of my daughter spending the night at her friend's house.
Yeah.
I feel like I want to do a background check on the parents because I'm not comfortable with that. It makes me feel a little weary.
Yeah, a child molester doesn't have a certain face, so you don't know who it is. Men, women.
You just never know. So you just gotta, you know, pay attention, be alert. But the main thing it still goes back to is talking to your children and letting them know what's inappropriate. Even if you find a video on YouTube and you watch it yourself first and then show them and let them ask you questions that you can answer, I think that that's important. But remember that you are a protector for your child and you are the advocate, so you are the one who's supposed to make sure they get the help that they need.
Your child is never too young to understand, because when I was being abused, it was when I was 2, 3, 4. You're abused at such a young age, you don't know. So as soon as you can talk to your kids, do it.
Yeah, it's important. And as soon as my daughter can understand more, I will be explaining those things to her too. You know, being somebody who's been molested before, I think that some people don't understand how important it is. It's very, very, very important, period. And so your children know, like, okay, I know what this area is, and my mom told me or my dad told me that nobody's supposed to touch me here. If they don't know what that area is and what it means and how important it is, then how will they be able to tell you? Because if they don't know, then it seems like it's something natural to them. And you're the one that tells them that's not natural.
So no more sweeping it under the rug like the older generation. We're the new generation. We're going to break the cycle. We're going to talk to our children, and we're going to stop this curse.
And tell somebody so somebody could be prosecuted.
Yes. Justice.
Hi, my name is Tanisha Shamay Curry. I go by Shamay Speaks. My message today, I definitely want to say to please talk to your children and understand that you are their protector. And you have to be the advocate for them. So if something's done to them, you have to make sure you do everything in your power to protect your children. If you have to get them counseling, whatever the case may be, get yourself out of whatever situation you are in, but make sure you let your children know what's appropriate and what's inappropriate so they can feel comfortable enough to come to you and let you know if something is happening to them. So I want to thank Leisha for coming out and giving me this opportunity and support her movement, and be sure that you tell your kids to tell somebody, a teacher, a friend, but definitely let them know that they can talk to their parents and make them feel and understand that they can talk to their parents. You can know more about me on my website, shamayspeaks.com.